Recording in progress.
Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, colleagues.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chauke and your team.
Good morning, Chairperson.
Good morning, Executive Director and your team.
Good morning, Chair.
Thanks very much. Let me welcome you all, honorable members. Let me also welcome the delegation from PSIRA. I guess it is led by Mr. Chauke. Let me also welcome the delegation from IPID. I guess it's led by the Executive Director. Let me heartily welcome the Deputy Minister, who's leading both delegations from IPID and PSIRA as a political head. Let me welcome all the staff members from Parliament who are assisting us. Let me also welcome staff members from the ministry. I think let's start with our meeting. Let me check with Babalwa if we are in quorum.
Good morning, Chair. Yes, we do have a quorum. You can start a meeting.
Okay. How are you, DM?
I'm fine, thanks. And you, Chair?
I'm fine, Deputy Minister. You are welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thanks to members. Should we proceed?
Yes, we're still dealing with the house logistics.
Oh, okay. My apologies, Chair. My apologies. My apologies.
Can we have the agenda, Babalo? Can we flight the agenda? There is the agenda. We're meeting from 9 to 14 hours, but I guess we can do better. If we do better, We'll knock off earlier than that. Adoption of the agenda, apologies, opening remarks by the chairperson. Presentations by IPID of their annual report, and presentation by PSIRA of their annual report. Discussions, and then we move forward and close. Can I get a mover for the agenda?
Honorable Chair, Melina Gomba moves for the adoption of the agenda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Gomba. Any seconder?
Sheikh Imam. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sheikh Imam.
Chair, I just thought I'll draw your attention to it. Friday, it's a prayer day, and I quickly need to get into a funeral for about 15 minutes and come out at about 10. But I'll be in for most of the day. Thank you, sir.
What time are you leaving?
Chair, and I'm going to a funeral, but I'll be in, just 15 minutes from about 10 to 10 to about 10:05, and then I'll be out again. But then mosque is at 1 o'clock, 12:30 to 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Okay. If it was according to my wish, we should be done by 12. But let's see how far it goes. Can we get apologies?
Chair, I received 4 apologies from Rev Meshwa. He's abroad. Dr. Grunewald. Ms. Marekwa, she indicated that she will leave the meeting early to join another meeting. I also received an apology from the minister. He will not be able to attend a meeting due to SAPS engagements, which are taking place in Cape Town. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Thanks very much. I guess those apologies are accepted. Is there an opposing view to accepting the apologies? I think they are accepted. They will be recorded as such. Honorable members, today I don't have much to say, except to say that we're considering annual reports from IPID and PSIRA. And we were briefed on Wednesday by the Auditor General's office. And in terms of that briefing, IPID, in terms of the audit opinion, has received a clean audit. And we want to congratulate you, Deputy Minister and Executive Director, for achieving such a milestone. We were also briefed that PSIRA received an unqualified audit opinion, but with findings. And this in the main was based on an issue that was to be resolved. However, we're also briefed that PSIRA is working very hard to make sure that they resolve that issue, with the expectation that in the next audit round, PSIRA may receive a clean audit. We're also informed that PSIRA has made serious improvements as compared to the last audit. We want to congratulate you again, Deputy Minister, and Mr. Chauke as the leader of PSIRA. So we expect that as a portfolio of police, the department, our entities will follow. We have congratulated Secretariat for achieving a clean audit. We have also congratulated the Department of Police although they got an unqualified opinion with findings, but we are told there's a lot of improvement. And we want to congratulate our portfolio for that. I think, Deputy Minister, you'll convey our message to the Minister that if we keep on working like this and work as a team, we can achieve more, possibly by next year. As a portfolio, we'll be talking of clean audit across. Like I said, on Wednesday, we were invited to an event by the Minister today. However, because of this meeting, we could not attend that event. That is which is a launch of safer festive season. We want to wish the Minister and those who are there a fruitful event, and hope that indeed we will realize a safer festive season. Having said that, let me not spend a lot of time on this. Let's get into the business of the day and request presentation. Deputy Minister, we're in your hands.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and members of the committee, once again for giving us an opportunity to account to you on what we have done for the previous financial year. And to echo your words, we really appreciate and thank you for the warm words for the progress that we are making as a team of police in the country, which is inclusive of yourselves as the committee, because our achievement are as a result of the work that you are doing. If you keep up ensuring that we do what we are expected of doing, we will do more and better and improve on how we serve our people. So equally, this is your achievement, Chairperson and members of the committee. We appreciate the role you have played for us to achieve these milestones. It's not a small achievement, it's a major achievement. And we should be celebrating as team policing, which is inclusive of yourself, Chairperson, and members of the committee. Your work, it's noticed by the results that you see in what we are presenting, and to congratulate the executive director together with her management. I think they are doing us proud. We must continue to give them the support that they need, inclusive of the CEO and the board of PSIRA. They are doing an excellent work through our support collectively as the ministry and the portfolio committee. Without further ado, Chair, I'll request that the executive director and their team lead in the presentations, because the presentation have been submitted to the portfolio committee. Executive director and your team, I request that you should not read word by word. Just talk to the presentation, because members have the presentation with them and they've gone through it, and the Auditor General has also made a presentation that talks to what we are presenting here. So it will not be advisable that we read word for word, but we talk to the presentation to make matters easy for everybody, considering the time and day in which we are making this presentation to the committee. Over to you, Executive Director, and your team, through you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, TM, and thank you very much, Chairperson, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. We will certainly comply with the direction given by the Deputy Minister. We are now commencing.
Sorry, Executive Director, my apology. I see a hand of Honorable Terplanche.
Yeah, Chairperson, thank you. Sorry for the interruption. Chairperson, I just want to know, at the end of our previous meeting on Wednesday, there was an agreement that certain questions will be answered in writing by the National Commissioner and his team. And my understanding was we were supposed to be getting that responses this morning. And I just want to inquire, where do we stand with that at the moment? Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Terplanch. Babalwa Nicolette, have you received something?
Not yet, Chair.
Not yet. Honorable Deputy Minister, can you note that so that immediately after this meeting you work on it so that members receive those submissions? Honorable DM?
I will definitely do that immediately as the ED is presenting. I'll reach out to the Commissioner's office and request that they comply. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, DM. Thank you, Honorable Terplanch. Executive Director, my apologies. You can continue.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thanks for giving us this opportunity to present before the Portfolio Committee about our annual performance report for 2022-2023, meaning the last financial year. The next slide. Can go to the next slide, sir. Okay, I will start with my overview. The purpose of this presentation is to present the last financial year's annual performance report to the Portfolio Committee on Police. The department obtained its first clean audit from the Office of the AG for 2022-2023. The total establishment of IPID is 397 permanent positions nationally, with only 180 investigation positions. The department continued with reprioritization and regrouping of functions to ensure optimal utilization of limited resources. Out of this process, we've managed to create five investigator positions. We also managed to employ 3 retired detectives to assist us in dealing with the reduction of the backlog cases. We also employed 3 quality assurers to assist us with the non-prosecute cases and cases that have been withdrawn in court. Currently, these assurers have assessed 639 dockets, which 329 are non-prosecute cases, meaning they were declined for prosecution, and 36 have been taken for review with the DPP, meaning the Director of Public Prosecution. The recruitment and selection policy was also reviewed, which resulted in internal advertisement of level 5 to level 12 positions and assisted in creating job opportunities for young people who are currently interns and improve staff morale. By end of September, the vacancy rate was at 7% from the 9% of the last financial year. To date, there were 7 internal promotions and appointment of 20 interns at entry-level position, meaning we've managed to absorb 20 interns into a permanent position. As part of supporting investigators, there were 2 vaccinations of hepatitis B, which were administered for all the investigators. And this is relevant when they do postmortems or when they go to the laboratories and engage with a pathologist. So this is required when you engage with the pathologist, especially when you get into the laboratories. We also procured 20 vehicles as part of our tools of trade. The department has increased its footprints in various provinces through collaboration with the Provincial Department of Community Safety. We've listed the areas where this is happening. A partnership with NPA was established to assist with conducting the third risk assessment. I must indicate, chairpersons and honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, our investigators continue to face threats from the suspects that we are investigating. The department signed an MOU with the ACFE, meaning the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, to assist with professionalization of the investigation environment and training. This partnership has resulted in implementation of 5 training programs, which has commenced in October 2023. 257 departmental convictions involving 410 officers were secured, which is an increase from 239 in 2021-2022 financial year. 56 criminal convictions involving 65 officers were secured, which is an increase from 20 convictions in 2021-2022. Next slide. Nationally, 128 officers were arrested, emanating from 80 criminal incidents. By the end of the financial year, 807 cases were still on the court roll, and we are continuously engaging with NPA to deal with these cases. The department was able to reach about 12 million South Africans through a 3-month-long radio advert campaign. Live engagements were held with communities through the GCIS Community Radio Network, where they were able to secure 3-hour slots, which were live streamed in 18 community media. Next slide, sir. I am now going to hand over to the Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Setedi, who's also going to try and summarize the presentation. Over to you, Mr. Setedi. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you, Executive Director, and good morning to the Chairperson, honorable members, Deputy Minister of Police, and all colleagues who are in this platform. And yes, indeed, I will try to be brief. The first slide, Chair and honorable members, is just to demonstrate the applicable legislations that assisted us in compiling of the annual financial statements, starting from the PFMA, Treasury regulations, as well as the modified cash standard as presented by the Office of the Accountant General. The following slide. Next slide, we are demonstrating the expenditure that has been incurred by the department for 2 financial years, starting with the 21-22 to the financial year under review, which is 22-23. We are showing how we've been spending our budget, not only demonstrating the capacity to spend, but also indicating how constraints we are. Committee will realize that for the financial year 21-22, there was 5.8 million that we could not spend due to the delay in filling some of the positions. And in the financial year 22-23, there was an improvement, even though it was in the same area of spending, but there was an improvement there. Next slide. In terms of the key disclosure notes, which were audited by the Office of the Auditor General, we had a environment during the course of the financial year under review, mainly to address some of the pressure areas that were identified. That environment was implemented through the section 43 of the PFMA. We did not have any rollover for the period under review because there was no money that was not utilized for a particular project. Unauthorized expenditure, as we are presenting to the House today, we are preparing to appear before the SCOPA on next week, Tuesday, to present our case. This is the historic balance that was incurred by the then ICD before the establishment of IPID in 2 financial years, which are 2005-06 and 2008-09. However, there has been a process followed to make sure that this balance is cleared, and we will be making presentation before the SCOPA on Tuesday next week. Next slide. In terms of the fruitless and wasteful expenditure, we reported some few transactions which are emanating from the overdue telecom account, as well as the traffic fines by some of our investigators. However, as I'm making a presentations, the amount that has been reflected here as 9,000 has been recovered from the affected officials. Next slide. In terms of irregular expenditure for the period under review, which is the previous financial year, we did not incur any irregular expenditure. The irregular expenditure that is sitting in our books emanates from the previous financial year transactions, which are sitting at various stages. Some have been presented to National Treasury for condonement based on the reasons advanced, and some have been presented to our own Financial Misconduct Committee so that they can make a recommendation to the accounting officer for those figures to be addressed. As far as commitments are concerned, the department did not report any capital commitments. We are trying by all means to spend what has been allocated in the same financial years. Next slide. In terms of the accruals, previously, Chair and honorable members, we had problems of accruals where when we close financial year, we'll be having a huge amount of accruals and payables. Today, we are happy to announce to the committee that we have since addressed and reduced significantly the amount of accruals and payables that were presented in the past financial years. There are those cases that unfortunately you cannot avoid accruals, but they are so insignificant. Such cases includes the invoices from Auditor Generals for the work that would have been done in March. You will only receive invoice in April, or travels for investigators. When they are conducting their investigators that happen in March, you will only get their invoices in April the next financial year. So those are some of the activities that you cannot avoid accruals on, but we are happy that those accruals that are avoidable, we were able to reduce them significantly. Next slide. Contingent liability is one of the risk area that we have identified. As small department, we are not expected to have a huge amount of contingent liability. Majority of cases are cases on wrongful arrest allegations that are made by police officers. However, we have noted that most of these cases, they take long. Once we receive summons, there are no follow-up from those complainants, and we have since established a policy to deal with all cases that are not followed up by the complainants. And in addition to that, the department has also initiated an engagement with various state attorney offices. And to date, they've visited 8 offices, which are Durban, Polokwane, Thohoyandou, Bloemfontein, Eastern Cape, Umtata, Pretoria, and Joburg, in order to address some of the long cases that have been sitting in our contingent liability register. We are hoping that with this initiative, the balance will be reduced significantly or to even clear to zero once the responses are given by these offices. Next slide. In this slide, honorable members, we are sharing with the committee the journey that we've been working on from the last 3 financial years. In 2021, the AGSA audited the department and gave the department unqualified audit with 4 matters of emphasis. And we made a commitment as management to address those matters of emphasis. And in the following year, which was 21-22, the AGSA came back again, gave the department unqualified audit opinion with a reduced matters of emphasis from 2 emphasis to 2, from 4 matters of emphasis to 2. And we also made a commitment once again to say we'll be address those issues raised by the AGSA. With 22-23, which is the year under review, the AGSA looked into our commitments as well as the progress and realized that we were able and successfully address issues that have been raised previously. And he gave the department a clean audit without any matters of emphasis. Next slide. Chairperson, we are here just sharing with honorable members some of the controls that we have since put in place. And Chair, I must say we are happy that AGSA has moved away from only concentrating on financial statement, but now they are looking into the service delivery activities, and we have since made a commitment that we will be looking into the impact of our work to the community, so that when they come back, we are also able to demonstrate the impact that we are doing out there as far as service delivery is concerned. And as a result, Chair, we have shared some internal controls, which one, yes, Chairperson.
We are too slow. Otherwise,
Chair, I'm wrapping up. This is the last. This is the last slide, Chairperson. Chair, without going line by line, these are some of the internal control measures that we have put in place, mainly to sustain our clean audit opinion. Chair, I will submit and leave it there. This should be the last slide. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chair. We are now going over to Ms. Letlape, who's going to talk about performance monitoring and strategy. Ms. Letlape, please try and
if they
summarize.
can try to just talk to the presentations, ED, because these were sent in advance. Members have read them, so it doesn't help to read each and every line again.
Okay.
So,
okay. Over to you, Ma'am Letlape.
Thank you, Edie. Good morning, Chairperson, honorable members, DM, and all managers in this platform. I will be taking you through the performance information. Starting on the first slide, the overall performance of the department is at 79%, with only 7 targets that were not achieved, 4 from program 1, and the others were not achieved across all the 3 remaining programs, 1 for each program. We can move to the next slide. This is a comparative diagram of our performance. Starting with program 1, our performance has been fluctuating with in 2021-2022, that is the year where our performance was at its peak at 86%. And for the period under review, it declined to 56%. And for program 2, investigation and information management, our performance improved in year 2 to 92% from 77%, and we sustained the 92%. And for program 3, the performance has been at 100% for the first 2 financial years and declined to 75%. And program 4, the picture is the same as program 3. The difference is that the performance is at 88% in the year under review. And the overall performance, it's also fluctuating from 77 to 94. Then for the period under review at 79%. We can move to the next slide. Chairperson, I will only focus on the areas where we have not performed. For program 1, we have 4 targets that were not achieved. And the first one is the implementation of risk mitigation strategies. The target is 70%, and we only implemented 65%. And this was due to the fact that some of the mitigations were partially implemented, and some there were dependencies from the external stakeholders. As a result, we could not fully implement our mitigations, and those mitigations were deferred to the next financial year, which is the current financial year. And the next target that was not achieved in the next slide, it's a representation of youth in the department. The target is 19%, and we only managed to achieve 13%. And this was due to a limited number of vacant posts at salary level 5 to 12 to attract young people. And the recruitment and selection process for 14 positions that became vacant in December 2022 was still in progress by the end of the financial year. And the next target that was not achieved is representation of persons living with disabilities in the department. The target is 3%, and we were at 2%. And the reasons will be the same as the previous target, because they are all dependent on the recruitment process. And the last 20% under Program 1 is the procurement of goods and services from women-owned enterprises. The target is 30%, and we only managed to achieve 26%. And this was due to the fact that a bulk procurement to the value of 7.1 million of motor vehicles that were procured through the Treasury RT contract, it affected the performance of this indicator, but we have since reviewed the policy. And for Program 2, there was only one target that was not achieved, and it's for corruption, investigation of corruption cases. And this was due to the complexity of investigation, because it takes longer to complete these cases. And we have since engaged with our internal unit, National Specialized Investigative Unit, to assist the provinces that have a high number of these cases. We only managed to complete 52. We can move to the next slides on Section 9N stats. Next slide. During the period under review, we recorded a total of 5,274 new cases, which is a decline from 5,295 in the year 2021-2022. The difference is only 21 cases decline. We can move to the next slide. In terms of the total number of cases that were investigated and completed, which is linked to our output indicators in the previous slides under Program 2, the total number is 3,973. And out of this number, Chairperson, 53% are backlog cases. We can move to the next slide. The next slide is our total workload. It was 46,333. This is a combination of active cases that we were expected to investigate during the period under review, and cases that were decision ready, and they were still expected to be attended to by our investigators, be it cases that are at court or cases where there are DPP queries. Those cases, a total is 46,333, and investigators were expected to attend to all these cases during the period under review. We can move to the next slide. The next slide is a projection of the total number of recommendations that were referred to SAPS. The total is 2,277 with 1,483 positive recommendations, and 794 is negative recommendations. And positive recommendations, it's cases where the SAPS members were cleared, and for 794, it's where IPID was recommending that disciplinary steps should be taken. We can move to the next slide. In terms of the MPS, we had a total of 43 referrals with 26 positive and 17 negative recommendations. And by the end of the reporting period, there was no feedback received from the 17 negative recommendations. We can move to the next slide. On the next slide is the status of the 794 negative recommendations that were referred during the period under review, starting with matters that were initiated. It's 191, and we had 378 matters where IPID was still awaiting feedback, and on 225, the disciplinary process was finalized. We can move to the next slide. In terms of the outcomes that we recorded during the period under review, we have 257, and this is inclusive, Chairperson, of recommendations that were referred in the previous financial years, but the outcomes were reported during the period under review. The total is 257, and on the sanctions, we have 20 verbal warnings, 93 written warnings, 55 final written warnings, 32 salary suspensions, and 40 were dismissed from service, and lastly, 17 corrective counseling. We can move to the next slide. The next slide is on the criminal referrals that were forwarded to the NPA. The total is 2,093. Next slide, please. And the status of the criminal referrals, we were still awaiting feedback on 1,347, and on 684, NPA declined to prosecute, and 53 NPA decided to prosecute, and there were 9 matters withdrawn. Next slide. On the next slide, these are criminal convictions per classification and also per province. We secured a total of 56 criminal convictions during the period under review. We can move to the next slide. That was the last slide for program 2. We are now on program 3. There was only one target that was not met, and it's for the indicator for percentage of legal advice provided to investigators within 2 working days of receipt per year. The target was missed by only 1. And this matter, although the target was not met, but the advice was provided to the investigator. The reason is that it was not provided within the stipulated time frames, and this was due to the unavailability of the officials in the office, and as a result, it affected the turnaround time. But currently, we are able to access our emails outside the office, so this challenge will not be encountered going forward. We can move to the next slide. For program 4, next slide, on the target that was not achieved, it's only 1 also for this program, which is percentage implementation of access and awareness rural strategy per year. We only managed to implement 29%. And this was affected, Chairperson, by the fact that some of the activities, the implementation was delayed, and they could not be finalized by the end of the reporting period. And we have since ensured that there is a collaboration between the 2 programs that are responsible for the activities in the implementation plan. That brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you, Edie. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Tlape. Chairperson, in conclusion, was saying that the department will continue to address internal control deficiencies to maintain the positive outcome. Engagement and collaboration with other organs of state will continue to expand IPID's footprint. The reprioritization of limited resources to ensure optimal utilization and service delivery. Thank you very much, Chairperson. We submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. That's the end of our presentation on IPID. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
DM, can you give further instructions?
We have concluded the presentation on IPID. Chair, if you allow us, we can present PSIRA.
Thank you. PSIRA.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Yeah, proceed, HCO.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning to the Chair, the Deputy Minister, members, honorable members, colleagues. Chair, we are led by Dr. Mufume, the Chairperson of the Council, as well as the Deputy Chair. I will be presenting this morning I will be presenting the shortened version of the annual report, assisted by the Corporate Secretary as well as the Deputy Director Law Enforcement. Our Corporate Secretary will share the presentation. Corporate Secretary.
I'm trying to share, but it says host disabled participant. Sharing.
Can we assist them, Babalwa Nicolette? Who's supposed to present? What's the name?
Jacob Mahulani.
Jacob Mahulani. Can we give him co-hosting rights? Babalwa?
I have given him the right share to share the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. As already alluded to, we are led by the Chairperson, the Deputy Chair, and on the platform I have Ms. Talen Zwane, our Deputy Director Law Enforcement, as well as Mr. Mahulani, who will be giving us the presentation on behalf of the CFO. Next slide, please. In terms of the overview, I'll give you the highlights as well as the progress on the overall performance, and we will be followed by a summary of the performance per program by the Deputy Director and then the financial performance. Next slide. Thank you, Chair. In terms of the highlights, as we already alluded in the beginning, we have received an unqualified audit opinion. We're sitting with by the close of the financial year, we're sitting with a surplus of 69.7 million. Our current ratio was sitting as 2.07 cents per 2.07 cents per rand, and we received 84% of the APP achieved for 22-23. And in terms of the inspections conducted on businesses, we conducted 7,236. For security officers, we conducted over 36,000, and we made 991 arrests in 106 operations that we conducted in the year 2022-2023. In terms of inspections that were conducted on businesses that were utilizing firearms, we did over 2,000 of those, and we finalized 859 prosecutions, out of which we imposed 14 million rand worth of fines for those that were contravening the code of conduct. In the same year, Chair, we managed to register 226,000 security officers as well as over 2,000 businesses in the year. So that is, from a training point of view, we registered, accredited 131 new businesses that were conducting training, and we conducted 369,000 renewals of certificate in the same year, and we were able to assist 413,000 security officers to claim their profiles, as well as 9,000 businesses to ensure that they are back into business. And in the same year, we conducted 47 public awareness campaigns that were mainly talking on the mandate of PSIRA. Next slide, please. Chair, you will recall that in the last meeting we had with the Portfolio Committee, we were given recommendations to address. One of the recommendations was to ensure that we remain a sustainable organization. Just to give you the progress, Chair, we've managed to ensure that working with the National Treasury, the Levies Administration Bill is being drafted by Treasury. As we speak, we've given the Treasury data to ensure that the levy that needs to be proclaimed in terms of that bill is being considered. And if you go to the next slide, please. And we're making sure that we have intensified, Chair, the collection of the annual fees, and we will soon be introducing a digital platform to ensure that when the levies are on board, we are able to do that. We are able to collect seamlessly without a challenge. Chair, one of the recommendations was to ensure that we intensify our law enforcement on security companies that are handling firearms. I'm happy to announce that we have intensified our compliance measures as something that we have not put on the presentation, Chair. We've established, as you can recall, during the time the Minister spoke on the budget speech, a firearm enforcement unit, which is underway, working with SAPS to ensure that firearms that are illegal are removed in the private security industry. And we are ensuring also that we institute code of conduct inquiries against those security companies that are contravening the code of conduct. Next slide. The overall performance, Chair, as I said, mentioned earlier, is sitting at 84%. Our Deputy Director will give us a full view of the summary. Next slide. Next two slides, please. And in terms of the progress, the programs, Chair, she will also give us the percentages of progress. But program 1, we've achieved 82%. Program 2, 100%, and program 3, 83%, as well as program 3 with 50%, which we shall explain the variance there. And progress towards the strategic outcomes over the 5 years. Chair, you will recall that the whole strategy plan started over 5 years, so we're just giving you a view of what we have achieved to date in the 5-year that we've been busy. Which is, I think, we are on the last financial year of that 5-year, as we know that next year we have elections. So in the 5 years, Chair, we had certain outcomes that we wanted to achieve. I think the first target was to retain an unqualified audit opinion over the period of the 5 years. You will see in 2020 up to 2022, we have maintained that unqualified audit opinion. The second one was to ensure that our liquidity is solid. You will see that our liquidity has improved from 2021 from 2.07 cents to 2.15 cents, which means that for every R1 that we owed, we had 2.15 cents to pay by the time we closed this financial year. On organizational performance, we wanted to maintain 80% of the target achieved. We are progressing upwards. We are now sitting at 84% share. Last year it was 83%. We are now sitting at 84%. One of those that we didn't achieve, Chair, was the transformation index for the private security industry. We are well on course to achieve those. We have appointed a service provider that's assisting to ensure that that transformation charter is finalized and presented before the Minister of Trade and Industry for approval and for implementation. The next slide will then be talking also to the transformation charter, some of the deliverables which we're still on course to achieve in terms of the plan that we have. So by the end of next year, we should have achieved these deliverables. The next slide. Thank you. One of the targets which we also wanted to achieve was to maintain compliance with the prescripts. Within the period of 5 years, you will see that we also have an upward progression from 86% in 2020, 2021, 86%, and 2022, we're sitting at 89%. So we're doing very well. We believe that by the end of the 5 years, we should be well above 90% on that score. One of the other areas, Chair, was to improve a baseline on the audit conducted per the quality of training and assessments. What we have done is we've launched an online platform to assess the training industry. The whole purpose was to professionalize the industry. So we are also well on course As we speak, the system is being piloted and tested. We think that by the end of next year, we should be achieving this for the 5 years that we've planned to achieve. The next slide. The training curriculum, Chair, we have actually managed to ensure that some training has been revised, as well as new training are well on course to be accredited. We also believe that by the end of next year, we shall have achieved this specific target. Next slide. Thank you, Chair. I will hand over to the Deputy Director, Law Enforcement, to take us through the summary of the programs as per the achievements. Thank you.
Thank you, Director, and good morning, Chair, DM, Council members present on the platform, all protocol observed. I will be presenting performance information for Program 1 to 4. Program 1, it deals with finance, corporate services, and operations. On finance, that's where we have managed to implement all the audit action plans and complied with the statutory reporting requirements. Hence, we have received an unqualified audit opinion. Regarding the strategic risk mitigation plan, that's the next slide. We're not able to get the service provider to develop the transformation charter for us, and we are happy to announce that the service provider has been appointed to develop the charter for the private security industry. Next slide. On the corporate services, the next 2 slides, we have achieved all the output indicators under the year being reviewed. Coming to the research and development, we have developed 5 research reports and completed 4 surveys. Here, where we did not manage to perform chairperson, it's when we had delays, where we did not get a positive response when we advertised the tender for the transformation charter, and the service provider has been appointed to develop the charter to address and improve various issues relating to transformation and inclusion within the private security industry. Coming to Program 2, here, Chairperson, we have managed to achieve all the targets that we had for the financial year under review. We have, next slide. Training and communication. On training and communication, this is the units that looks at the training accreditation and the training standards within the industry. And they further deal with the engagement of stakeholders, marketing of services that we offer, and communicate changes regarding to our internal processes. Where we did not perform, Chairperson, it's what the director has already spoken about regarding the online system. This online system, it's for us to be able to evaluate the learners' knowledge and skills before they can register as security service providers, since we had challenges of training centers selling certificates. So as it stands, we have managed to appoint the service provider. The system has been piloted. It just has few amendments to be done before it can be launched. Coming to the next slide. Program 4. Here, Chairperson, we managed to achieve only 1 output indicator. The one where we did not perform, it's regarding the turnaround time to register applicants. These are security officers. This is as a result of registration documents not being uploaded on the system, and maybe the fingerprints need to go a retake, since maybe you find that some of the fingerprints will not be clear. And then what we are doing with this Chairperson is that since the system is now stable, We are continuously doing upgrades on the system, and we are looking into integrating our system with other stakeholders like the Home Affairs for us to be able to verify fingerprints, and we want to fully automate our services looking at facial recognition technology. Regarding research and development, I've already spoken to the 5 research reports that were produced. This was as a result of us wanting to amend the regulations where we see gaps. And we have also conducted 4 surveys during the year under review. Regarding human capital, the staff complement as at the end of 2022-23, we had 333 permanent personnel. And from the year 2021-2022, we have increased. We had approved posts, 355 approved posts, but then we managed to have 333 employees on board. There's 22 more vacancies that we are in process of being filled. Thank you, Chairperson. I'll now hand over to the Company Secretary to complete the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning to the Chairperson. Good morning to the honorable members. Good morning to DM and colleagues from PSIRA and other institutions. I'll be presenting on the financial performance of the entity. As the director has already indicated, we got an unqualified audit opinion with some findings. And the 3 areas of the findings which became our matters of emphasis was the UIF liability, the findings relating to delays with the finalization of the project and lack of contract management. What we are currently doing is that we are enhancing our contract management, due diligence to be performed prior to all our appointments. The training has since resumed due to the delays were mainly due to the COVID, because the contract was signed in 2019, 2020, it was COVID, and 2021 also, those delays arose out of those. So the training has since resumed to address the risk of material loss. And we are intending to have this training completed by the end of December this year. We have also enhanced our internal controls in this area, and we also taking some of our finance staff on a grab refresher course to ensure that they are able to make proper disclosures in our financials in terms of those items that relate to that. The other matter of emphasis was on the misstatement of revenue. System enhancements have been done to ensure that there's data integrity. Members will recall that 2022 was the first year that we fully implemented our online system, including integration with our finance system, and that was the first year that we produced our annual financial statements from the new system. So the issue of data integrity arose from those teething problems with the new system, but those are being addressed through the system enhancement to ensure that there's integrity in the data that is generated by the system. We have also come up with additional controls in terms of revenue management, this relating to the impairment data's book that we have, which the auditors have indicated that the impairment is very high. And we also take consideration of the fact that this is due to the fact that some of our security service providers that are owing us, they are not able to service their debt due to the economic condition in the country, and but we still ensure that we are pursuing those debts. In terms of irregular expenditure, which we had incurred for the first time over a period of about 5 years, we have enhanced our additional controls for bid process compliance, and also improving our analysis and compliance to some of the deviations that we have we have done to ensure that these deviations at the end of the day, when they are audited, they do not become irregular expenditure. In terms of our key financial highlights for 2023, 2024, 2023 compared to 2022, our total revenue increased by 44 million. Our expenditure as well increased by 63 million. The surplus for the year, as the director alluded to, is sitting at 69 million, which is a decrease from the previous year, that was sitting at 88 million. Our cash and cash equivalents increased by 67 million. Total assets also increased by 99 million. Provision for bad debt, which is the issue that I was talking to in relation to matters of emphasis by the auditors, is that our provision for bad debt increased. This is an area where we want to see this going down, but as you can see, it's going up, and we believe that we need to take this down. Otherwise, some interventions will have to be done in terms of getting some of the bad debt written off. Our equity is sitting at 69 million increase as well. These are just the line items in terms of our financial statements. Annual fees still contributing as the main contributor to our revenue, which increased by 8%, and registration fees also increasing by 33%. Training by 19%. The area that went down is our area of sale of goods. And this is the area where we sell certificates and the ID cards to security service providers. And one of the things there was that we introduced the online, which means that security service providers can now access digital certificate on the online system as well. Our interest at the bank also increased by 129% because we had some additional money that we could put in an investment. Our fines decreased by 46%. Bad debt decreased by 29%. And then our sundry income increased by 96%. Our total expenditure is sitting at 20% increase. And then our surplus, as we have indicated, was reduced from 88 million to 69 million. These are some of the reasons for the variance. I will concentrate only on the negative ones, and the first one being the one on on the sale of goods. As I indicated, the sale of goods went down because of certificates that are now being printed. That can now be accessed by security service providers online. And also the other one that decreased is in terms of the expenditure was our rentals and machine rentals. This was due to us negotiating our lease agreements to ensure that we get better rentals, and some of our rentals have gone down. And then in terms of the internal control status, our commitment to improve the audit opinion, we maintain proper records keeping, we maintain effective control over daily and monthly processing of our accounts. We maintain regular and accurate and complete financial and performance report, and we continue to implement record and document management systems. We continue also to review our compliance checklist and monitor effectiveness of our internal controls, and performance management systems are in place that support implementation of our strategic objectives. And we also continue to review processes and ensure effective accountability. And as the director also indicated, in terms of the funding, the review of the funding in terms of introducing the Levies Act, this we are doing in consultation with Treasury. And these are all those status of drivers of our internal controls that we keep on monitoring. This is our last slide, and thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, DM.
Thank you. I don't know whether the chair of the board will want to comment briefly through you, Chair. She was having problems of connectivity. We should proceed, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, DM. Chair of the board or Deputy Chair. Any comment?
Mr. Radwebi. I think the board chair and the deputy chairs might be having difficulties of connectivity. Chair, let's proceed.
Okay. Thanks very much for the presentation, Executive Director IPID and the CEO of PSIRA. When the chair or deputy chair is available, let me be made aware in case there's something they want to say. Can we move to the next item, which is discussions? Can I give this opportunity to honorable members to raise issues, interact with the two reports, either questions for clarifications, inputs, whatever. Let's interact with the two reports. Honorable members, can I see your hands? Unless if it was clear, Honorable Gomba, followed by Honorable Terplanche, followed by Honorable Golding for now. Honorable Gomba.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and good morning to everyone. Honorable Chair, mine is to just note and appreciate the report and also note the good performance, because what I've realized here is that there has been very good financial systems according to Mr. Molokwane's report that he was reporting on, and also that they actually spent what they had to spend and not more than what they were supposed to spend. It means they spend money according to the budget, which is very much commended, and I really appreciate and congratulate them on that. And also on noting also their improvement on matters of emphasis, going back from 2020, 2021 and 2022 financial years, which was very much impressive, Honorable Chair, and I would like the department to really keep it up. And also, I see that they also dealt with the internal controls, which they put in place to ensure that they maintain the status quo, which is very good, Honorable Chair. Mine is to comment and really sing praises to this department. No, unfortunately, there's nothing more. Let me say, fortunately, there's nothing more, honestly, but just to comment for the good things that they have done as the department. And thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I submit.
Honorable Terplanche, thank you, Honorable Gomba.
Chairperson, thank you. Chairperson, let me also start by congratulating and commending IPID for the report that we got from them, and also, you know, the clean audit that they got. Chairperson, unfortunately, if you look closer, you know, to this report and scrutinize it, you know, a bit deeper, then there, you know, are few concerns, and I'm going to deal with them, you know, looking at the different issues that, you know, I noticed. Chairperson, the department achieved 79% of its performance targets performed compared to 94 the previous financial year. The decline is across the program, but the largest decline is administration, only achieve, on half of its targets. Chairperson, then if you look closer to the budget, there is a concern that, there's an underspending on personnel. No. Now, IPID is always complaining about, that they don't have enough personnel, etc. And, they couldn't even spend the total allocation for, compensation of employees. And, then, the question is, but you are complaining that you can't deal with the volume of the work, but you are underspending on this very important, allocation that you got. Then it's also, notable here that, the monies got moved from, like for instance, employees, and then moved to buy, capital assets and stuff like that, and especially vehicles. And then my question is, Chairperson, for who did they buy the vehicles for? Because they don't have the personnel or the total, staff complement, and yet they are buying all these vehicles. So I just need clarity on that, Chairperson. Chairperson, then also, there's a significant overspending on advertising. And I have a bit of a concern about that as well. Chairperson, it seems, like it's, like the dumping of the available budget on that for that purpose. And once again, if you had that kind of money to overspend, significant overspending on advertising, why do you spend it rather on something else to appoint more investigators and, that necessities? Chairperson, and then, on that overspending, I want to know whether that was approved by National Treasury. And if not, why was that not the case? Chairperson, and then, one must also be mindful, and, that is also quite obvious here, that civil claims against the department is also going up on a yearly basis. And my question is, what is their budget for civil claims, and how do they think, or how do they plan to deal with this? Chairperson, then there is also quite a lot of money allocated for youth development, and I really do commend that. But I want to get clarity on how exactly, what is the youth development, and what is, who approved that? I mean, in terms of what exactly are they doing for the youth? I need clarity on that also, Chairperson. Chairperson, and then we are coming to, the more important stuff. If you look at the caseload, what this department have, they got a new intake of 5,274 cases that got reported to them. Chairperson, and then if you look at the total caseload that they built up over the years, that is quite worrying. They have at the moment 17,988 active cases and 28,345 post-decision cases. So overall, IPID has a workload of 46,333 cases. Chairperson, now this is a mouthful. There is no way that IPID will be able to deal with this caseload, backload, total cases, within the next, I think, 20, 30 years. I don't think they'll be able to. And so serious intervention, Chairperson, is needed. And my question is, what is actually going to be done? If you see also that, the performance cases refer to the National Prosecuting Authority, there is certain, definite intervention is also necessary there. Chairperson, and what worries me the most is especially in the light of the NPA statement that IPID investigations are lacking in quality. So what are they going to do, Chairperson, to improve this quality? Chairperson, I am unfortunately not as optimistic about the performance that we received. You know, if you look on the surface only, that is now a clean audit. Clean audit for what? If you take this backlog that I mentioned there, Chairperson, we have really serious reason for concern. And Chairperson, if I may move on to PSIRA now, we heard that 991 arrests were made for certain offenses, and we had 859 prosecutions. I want to know, were there any convictions? And if any, then for what type of offenses, and what was the outcome for that? Chairperson, they are also in the process to intensify in law enforcement, especially around firearms. That is really appreciated. And my question about this one is, are any of these arrests and prosecutions mentioned before in connection with firearms? Is it firearm related? Then my last question, Chairperson, in terms of training, that is also very good. We heard that they, finalized a new training curriculum or program. And Chairperson, my question is this still relevant in terms of the new environment? I'm thinking about the challenges regarding cash in transit, stuff like that. Val Bartman said the other day that it become very difficult, to fulfill that function in the new environment where they are dealing with apparent, trained people with assault rifles and, explosives and whatever. And my question is, how are they dealing with these new challenges in terms of training? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Golding.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me start with IPID and let me be brief. To the leadership of IPID, well done on the report. The AG had nothing negative, and that's a good sign. I think that my colleagues have prior mentioned a few items or touched on a few, so I will try to exclude that from my questions and comments. The Honorable Ter Blanche mentioned the backlogs. Let me start with the backlog. We are recording an overall caseload as it stands of just over 46,000 cases. I think what is important is that IPID doesn't show currently a very high vacancy rate. DPCI told us their vacancy rate was very high, but IPID is not showing a very high vacancy rate. But what this indicates is that in terms of its RAG, or resource allocation guide, it's planned on way too little staff. So if we're going to help you get to where you should be, you're going to have to help us. So even though the vacancy doesn't show all that much, we're going to need to understand what your manpower needs are. So the first one is, in terms of that 46,000, which is outstanding, can we get an age breakdown on those cases? Is it 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years? I don't know. I mean, are we going to be able to get there in the next 2 to 3 years? Or, as my learned colleague has asked, in the next 20 years? So in the medium term, we're going to need to plan to capacitate you, respectively from a budgetary level. But you're going to have to help us by giving us this breakdown. So needs analysis is what we'll need. And in helping that, please give us a breakdown on those numbers. There was the mention of the 5 million underspent on resource. I understand it's not a huge total, but it is still resource. And if you can just indicate what the problem was there. Then, in terms of the actual caseload, there are certain areas where we're not hitting target, the other areas where we are. But if we look at the cases which are enrolled, 64% of the cases being investigated are for assault. So the bulk of the work is looking at assault. Now, I think the question there is, when getting these stats, can we get a breakdown in terms of the assault? Basically between common assault and assault GBH. Because common assault, it's prospectively taking up a lot of this time, and I'm not sure if we should be focusing resource elsewhere, which is going to get me to what I think is my last point. In terms of the program 2 indicators, the one that was not reached was corruption. Now, this is something which I think we're very concerned about in this country, corruption. It's the one indicator which was not hit. The target was 70. You achieved 52. The deficit there was 18. You did indicate that National Specialized Investigative Unit will be helping out there. But how do we capacitate in that space? Because that, to me, is a much larger and impactful national issue than common assault, if you get where I'm going with this. So are we focusing on these things? Outside of that, I mean, are we calling on help from other agencies? I understand we have access to the broader SAPs, but you do not have the capacity internally. But how do we overcome that? Because the reliance on other SAPs resources can be hindering you. But overall, I think it was relatively well done. You are resource constrained, but you've got to help us to help you. So you need to give us some information. So, Chair, thank you. That's the bit on IPID. Let me touch on PSIRA. Thank you for your presentation. There was, however, something with regards to the findings coming out of the AG's report. If you can give us a little bit more detail on the 30 million rand. This appears to be for training, which was paid, which was not provided. I'd like to understand that, please. The AG also indicated there was irregular expenditure of 79 million rand. This is per the AG's report. And a lot of that seems to be tied into supply chain controls and procedures. Can you indicate to me, please, what rectifying steps you're doing there? Because it appears it's not going through a competitive bid process as per the AG's report. What is your rectifying measures? Because you glossed over that and you seem that you were happy with what had happened, but 75 million rand is not pocket change. You spent just under 400 million rand. I'm not sure the total was, I think about 380 million rand. This is a fair chunk of change there, which did not go through approved supply chain processes. So please speak to that. The next one then is with regards to your compliance inspections. I'm just trying to understand. You made mention of inspections and you're trying and you're checking on minimum wage. Obviously, you mentioned firearms as well at a compliance level. I would like to understand from a compliance point of view, whether in your inspections with PSIRA registered companies, what the incidence is of encountering employees who are not PSIRA registered and what the impact of that is. Because just because I'm hiring a company which is accredited doesn't necessarily mean that they're above board and all their staff are there. So I'd like to understand that. My colleague also touched on the arrests. You mentioned 106 operations, 991 arrests, and ultimately there were 859 prosecutions. Can you unpack that? I'm trying to understand what the level of contraventions are there, because these are actually criminal. And in some cases, you're probably just fining people because it's not criminal. that is criminal. Then lastly, just on your system side, well done on getting the digital platform up. I know it's difficult. We've spotted this both in SAPS with its docket management and in Justice with its case management. So I understand that there are problems. Granted, you're trying to integrate systems to check stuff like fingerprints, and you mentioned facial recognition. What I would like to understand there is, in terms of your integration, you're doing this at accreditation or at check, but are we checking people after the fact? Are we doing regular criminal record checks on those members who are registered, and what the impact and what the sanction there is, both on the individual members and the companies? Because from a branding and a trust point of view, it's important that the population trusts your certification, and trust that those companies that are accredited and those members that are accredited are effect clean. What is the frequency of you checking on the criteria of the accreditation? Otherwise, well done, and I wish you well with that process. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much. Honorable Ter Blanche.
Thank you, Chair. The chair of the... Should we proceed, Chair?
Chairperson, may I go in?
DM? DM?
Yes, Chair.
Let's give Honorable Ter Blanche first. You'll come in.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chairperson, and sorry to the DM. Chairperson, I missed 2 questions, and with your permission, I just want to get to them. The first one is, the death of people while in police custody. Now, what I picked up also, is this statement that people, they sustain certain injuries prior to, their arrest. And then now they passed on, while then in obviously in custody. Chairperson, I'm very concerned about that. How can we allow, obviously when people, before they are detained, they need to be processed. And, surely, the people in, in the community service center, or who, even the detectives who's working with them must surely see that these people are hurt. In the majority of cases, I'm not a doctor and they are also not. But I mean, people must ensure that people, are not seriously injured to the extent that they, that they are dying while in police custody. And I just want to get clarity on that. And what do we plan as the police, to curb that phenomenon? Chairperson, and then my last and very, very question is very concerning, is rapes by people, by the police, either while they, are in custody, or while they even, when police are, not on duty. And my question is, I just want to know the success rate that we have with, the obviously, the prosecution of these people, and specifically the conviction, and then lastly, what the police are doing, really to root this problem out. This is just not acceptable. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Chair. I will request that we allow the ED and the team to comment, and thereafter we get PSIRA to comment. And when they finish, we'll allow the Deputy Chair, if the Chair is not connected, to make his comments. Then I'll come last. Over to you, ED. Through you, Chair.
Thank you very much, DM. Thank you very much, honorable members, for the questions and the comments that are made. I am going to go straight into Member Terreblanche's questions, but I will also be assisted by the CFO and the Director's strategy, as well as the head of Program 2 dealing with investigation. Member Terreblanche asked on the administration why the target is so low and the underspending on personnel, as well as money spent, there is underspend on compensation. I must indicate, Chair and honorable members, that yes, we had experienced a challenge around underspending on personnel, and it is a result of us relying on external parties to assist us in verifying qualification checks. 2, it's also the criminal record, the criminal records of the people that we are going to appoint. But 3, it is also about the attrition rate during that period that we experienced. So the measures that we've put in place currently to deal with that is that there is the change in terms of the vacancy rate, because we have bought an experienced system that is assisting us to improve our turnaround time in terms of the quality checks, which also assist with the turnaround time in terms of the criminal checks of the people that we are appointing. So it has improved from taking something like a month or 2. It's now taking 48 hours to 72 hours, that system. So it assists a lot. So hence there is an increase there's a decrease in the vacancy rate. But second to that is the issue of the attrition rate. I must indicate, Chairperson, during that period, we've experienced a high attrition rate of our staff members, others leaving for better places or opportunities. Others, they were complaining about the salary scale that we are giving. And thirdly, they also spoke about the morale. But as we have presented, we've managed to come up with a policy. We've reviewed our policy to make sure that we boost the morale by looking inwardly in terms of promotions. If you can see our promotions, they've improved drastically. But at the same time, as we promote internally, it also leaves the gap in terms of the vacancy rate. Now we start afresh having to look for other people. So that's what we've done. I must say we are moving very quickly to deal with the challenge around that. With regard to the issue of overspending on adverts, Chair, we can't avoid advertising posts. The money spent on adverts, it was basically around advertising of positions that are vacant in the institution. We are required in terms of the PSA to advertise posts externally. Hence, there was that overspending on the advert. But the CFO will also explain further if there's anything that I've left out. So there's no dumping on adverts, but it's as a result of people leaving the institution, going for greener pastures, and we have to make sure that there's more money on advert. And then with regard to the cars, who are we buying cars for? Chairperson, we're buying cars for our own investigators. Remember, we have a fleet of vehicles. Others are aging, others need to be boarded. So we must replace those vehicles. Hence, we are buying those vehicles. But we're also making sure that we get more, so that as we are employing more new investigators, there are cars available for them. So that money is used for replacing old vehicles, and also making sure that we do not have a deficiency or we do not have enough cars for investigators to go out and investigate. With regard to approving, who's approving that movement? We do it jointly with National Treasury Chairperson. Any money, any shifting of funds internally, we must make sure that National Treasury approves it. So we can't do it on our own internally. Civil claims against the department, why are they high? Chair, what we've picked up with, we call them contingent liabilities. What we've picked up, Chairperson, is that some of the contingent liabilities, it's because we are cited as IPID, as a second person in the letter issued out by lawyers. But what we've done, we've not folded our arms. We have gone out. We've engaged various state attorneys' offices, such that it has moved from 111, it's now at 96 million. So we're busy dealing with it. We've set a team to make sure that they deal with those contingent liabilities. So every on a monthly basis, Chairperson was striving that this number reduces and make sure that we are dealing with all the contingent liabilities. But what we've also picked up, Chairperson, is that some of those that have lodged claims against the department no longer have an interest to pursue the matter. So we do it jointly with state attorneys to clean our register as well. So there is a special focus on the contingent liabilities. We're not leaving it out. We are making sure that we deal with that. So we do not have money set aside for contingent liabilities, but we are dealing with them as and when they come, and we make sure that we monitor all our cases so that we should not find ourselves having to add more into the contingent liabilities, because these are contingent liabilities of the previous financial years, but we're trying our level best to make sure that we are dealing with it. With regard to the youth development, what are we doing? Chairperson, our youth development, it was around us not employing young people on the position. Chairperson, we have improved on that. If you want to look at this financial position, we've dealt with that matter because we realize that it's becoming a challenge. And yet, I've also indicated in my slide or in my overview that we have employed more young people, those that were doing interns. To date, there are 20 interns that we've employed internally. So this is being dealt with. So young people are brought on board to work for IPID. So there are strategies in place to deal with that. And then with regard to the case load, yes, we acknowledge, Chair, we have a huge number of cases, and we are trying by all means to make sure that we deal with them. Yes, and the Director for Strategy also indicated that as much as we achieve some of our targets, some of the cases are cases from the backload. But what we have also done, Chair, is to also employ 3 retired detectives to assist us to deal with the backlog. We have a serious challenge around that. So there are 3 detectives who are assisting us to deal with the backlog. So we are doing our level best to deal with that because we're not, these cases are too much and we only have 180 investigators. And I must indicate, Chairperson, that most of our 60% of our cases, it's mainly assault cases. We are striving to make sure that we deal with this backlog. We're not sitting and folding our arms and looking at the backlog increasing. We are trying to move. We are trying to deal with it. With regard to NPA saying that we are lacking quality, Chairperson, we've developed a quality assurance framework. I've indicated in previous meetings with the PCP that we've developed a quality assurance framework. Subsequent to that, we've also employed 3 quality assurers who have gone out to assist us in reviewing some of the nolle prosequi cases. But our investigators are also consulting with them. There was one case where I've seen brilliant work done by our own quality assurance, where they intervened and assisted our investigators in giving guidance around issues of quality. So it's a good work, or it's a good headway that we are making, Chairperson. We're hoping that as we have money or we get more money, we'll make sure that we get more of quality assurance and review most of the nolle prosequi cases, as well as a withdrawal of cases. I've indicated in my slides that to date, 36 cases have been sent for review to the DPP. So that's the work of the quality assurance. Member Golding also spoke about the backlog cases and the high vacancy rate. Yes, we acknowledge that, but as I've explained, our retired detectives are on board. 3 retired detectives are on board to assist with dealing with challenges of the backlog, which is mainly assault cases. And we also are going to give this, we are committing to this committee that we are also going to be giving an age analysis of the backlog cases so that we can see when did it start and what are we doing to deal with those backlog cases. We will also indicate, we have also presented to this committee around our proposed expansion strategy, which will assist in dealing with the cases that are outstanding or the backlog cases. Yes, we also acknowledge, Member Goldwyn, that most of the cases, like I've said, 60% of our cases are assault cases. We will also give a breakdown in terms of when we talk about assault, whether it's how many are common assault and how many are assault GPH. I think we are committing to this committee that we'll also give a report around that. And then with regard to corruption, yes, we've realized that we have a challenge with regards to the capacity to deal with corruption, such that we are also proposing that we need a forensic capacity in the department to deal with corruption, because corruption, it needs some kind of expertise to deal with it. But we're not folding our arms. We're working with ID. Some of the cases are dealt with by ID, and some of the cases we're consulting with the Hawks as well as SIU to assist us in dealing with those cases, or assisting us with those cases. With regards to the death in police custody, I take it as a comment done by Member Ter Blanche. Unfortunately, I cannot respond on behalf of police as to what are they doing to deal with such cases where a person gets injured even before they get into the custody. What are police doing to deal with that? Are they reporting those people, or what is happening? But I must indicate, Chairperson and honorable members, that we also do cell inspections just to check if SAPS is complying with the legislative prescripts around cells, as well as making sure that those that are arrested are not going in with their shoelaces, because we've seen that most of them, they commit suicide whilst they are in police custody using their shoelaces. So we do those inspections and engage ACPS on the outcome of our cell inspection. The rapes by police, the succession rate, I'm unable to say it right now, Chairperson. We'll also try and give our stats around our conviction rate on the rape by police. I think I want to leave it there, but maybe let me check with CFO and Director Strategy if there's anything else that they want to add. CFO?
No, thank you, Edie. Just to add on the expenditure related to advertising, that was asked a question from Honorable Ter Blanche. You have touched part of it, but the other aspect of it is the radio campaign that we have embarked on in conjunction with GCIS, mainly to communicate the mandate of IPID, as well as how IPID services can be accessed, particularly in the rural areas, and also to share the toll-free that we have established. And I must say the feedback was positive. We were commended for that radio campaign, which ran for about 3 months in various radio stations, both communities and commercials. Most of the community members commented the department, including the AGSA. During their audit, they commended the department for that initiative. In fact, we were saying if we had enough budget, even this financial year, we were going to continue with the same campaign so that people can know where IPID services are accessed and what is the mandate of these institutions. Secondly, Edie, just to add on your response to Honorable Goulding, related to why are we not spending the full amount, in particular under COE. You have touched on some of the challenges, but in addition to that, there is an issue of the non-responsive because of our constraints. Whatever savings that we identify through the reprioritization of our budget, we want to prioritize Program 2, which is our core functions. And there was a time where we identified money and we wanted more investigators in a form of a contract, because we did not know whether we can sustain that in future. Then we wanted to appoint investigators in contract, but due to the nature of the investigation, it was difficult to attract the investigators in a contract, and there was non-responsive. And as a result, we then had to disclose the savings. And then the other part, I think, ED, you have touched as a result of internal promotion, as that when you fill the position, you open other vacancies, and that result into a savings. Ideally, we would want to spend our composition of employees 100%, but the circumstances does not allow because we don't have control over the movement of people, as that when people vacate their positions, somewhere in March, February, January, when you start filling the positions, the vacancy will cost the savings. So that is the reason why we disclose the savings. Thanks, Edie. I think those are the two questions that I wanted to clarify. Thanks.
Thanks, Restedi. Ma'am Letlape, is there anything that you want to add?
Thank you, Edie, and thank you, Chairperson. Yes, Edie. On the question from Member Terblanche on the issue related to death in police custody and rape by police officer, just to add on what the ED has already alluded to, we also conduct station lectures under Program 4. There is an indicator for station lectures. And what we also focus on during the station lectures, Chairperson, is to address any problematic areas that we might have identified in our stats. But also in addition to that, when the cases are being investigated, where we find that the contributing factors, it's related to internal controls. We also do issue policy recommendations to subs where we are not finding any member at fault. So those are some of the interventions from IPID that we are implementing. Chair. Thank you. Thank you, Edie.
Thank you. Chairperson, we submit.
Yeah, Mr. Chauke, do you have any comment to make?
Thank you, Chairperson. Yes, Chair. But before I go, I just want to check with whether the Chairperson would like to say something.
Yes, no, if she's connected, she can do so. If not, the Deputy Chair can also do so.
Good morning, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee. Good morning, Honorable Deputy Minister and members. I would like to, I don't like starting meetings with apologizing, but I'd like to really apologize. I've been having challenges with my connection. I even had to change position. So I managed to hear some, or maybe hopefully most of the presentation, but I just want to maybe just comment on that one matter that led to the finding by the IG. And, you know, I did hear, Chairperson, when during your opening remarks where you indicated that it was reported to you that the authority is hard at work making sure that this doesn't happen again. We realized that, you know, during that split second that a person uses to blink, there is a lot that can happen. But indeed, from my side or our side as the council, we can confirm that the Office of the Director, as well as our committees, including the Audit and Risk Committee, are doing much work and cooperating with the Office of the Auditor General to work on these issues. So really, I wouldn't want to repeat as I come in after the presentation has been done and comments have been made. Overall, as you have heard from our presentation, the authority has really done well, and will continue to work very, very hard. So I thought I can just do that comment. Thank you for the opportunity, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chauke.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me comment, Chairperson, on the questions from Honorable Terblanche as well as Honorable Golding. I'll do the 2 questions and my colleagues will assist with the other 2 questions. Honorable Terblanche asked about the training, the improvement in the training that we're doing, and wanted to know if cash in transit are part of that improvement. Chairperson, yes, we intend to ensure that part of the online assessments that are coming into the future will also include will also include cash in transit curriculum. But however, we must warn that the issues of the cash in transit are not related to squarely on the issue of training. There are other matters that are actually making sure that these matters don't actually get arrested in time, such as the monopolies that exist in the industry. To give an example of that, Chairperson, if you are transporting 100 million rands amongst quite a very few security companies, there will always be a risk of robberies as opposed to sharing all of that with the entire market that is there. That's just one example. The other question from Honorable Golding was whether are we checking the criminal records after the fact on some of the matters that we're doing. Honorable Chair, I must say that the issue of checking the criminal records after the fact is something that we assist with, but the biggest challenge of doing it en masse is the legislation. You will recall that previously we amended the PSIRA Act, and part of the amendments was to ensure that we renew all registrations of security officers so that we are able to check everyone else again. Unfortunately, that part has not been done because we are still waiting for the president to put that act into operation. But however, we are constantly checking for criminal records on all of those that are re-registering. Where possible, all of those that are reported, we do check those re-registrations as well. Chairperson, I will then hand over to the Deputy Director, Law Enforcement, followed by the CS to answer on the AGS questions, and I'll add where necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. I'll respond to the question, Honorable Terblanche's question on the number of arrests. Yes, we have arrested 991 people and on the 106 operations. And you asked about the offenses. The offenses that we normally find, it's people that are working as security officers, yet they are not registered. And another challenge is that of the undocumented foreign nationals that we normally find or on the sites. And the outcome of what is it that we have done, we have prosecuted, I think on the report, we've mentioned that we have 100% prosecution rates on the cases of security service providers that are non-compliant, and we have been issuing hefty fines from those security companies. Like last financial year, there was 14 million rand fines imposed on non-compliant security service providers. We have even withdrawn registration of security companies. We've withdrawn about 203 businesses because of non-compliance. Coming to the issue of Honorable Golding on the question around compliance inspections, we do conduct inspections on sites on the security officers themselves to see if they are registered. And we are in a process of conducting inspections in the mines because there are problems there. And we have established the special operation units. The units will be able to be working on the weekends and public holidays and doing night operations, because that is where people post unregistered security officers, because they are of the view that inspectors are not working during weekends. And regarding the underreporting, it's one of the challenges that we face. And we have since issued a communique to the industry out there to say that if the security officers check themselves online and they can see that they appear as unlinked, they can report to us via our hotline platforms. Thank you, Chair. I'd like to end there, and I don't know if the company secretary wants to add something. Thank you.
CS.
Thank you, Director, and thanks, Honorable Chair. There was a question that was raised by Honorable Golding regarding the audit outcome, mainly the issues that relates to the UIF projects that we are assisting the UIF with the implementation thereof. I think one of the issues that you also raised was on the irregular payments, irregular expenditure, which are also interrelated with the issues relating to the UIF project. I'll first deal with the issue of the irregular expenditure, and then we'll go to the issue of the prepayment that was made. The issue of the irregular expenditure that is there arose out of the contract that we have entered into with the service provider that is delivering the service in terms of the UIF project. How this irregular expenditure came about was that when the UIF gave us this project, they came with service providers that they needed us to appoint to render these services. And as you have seen in the audit report, one of the things that have been identified or highlighted was that we have not done a due diligence on the process that you have followed in terms of getting these service providers. The due diligence that we have done on our side was just to check that these service providers, because they are going to render training for security service providers, they are part and parcel of those people that are registered in terms of PSIRA for offering of training. And there was lack of due diligence on the process that UIF followed in terms of bringing those service providers to us. So this is where the issue then arose to say, because we are the ones that then contracted with those service providers and not the UIF, the irregular appointment then sits with us because the contract is sitting with us. That's how the irregular expenditure came about. And the bulk of the regular expenditure obviously related to those contracts that we have with those service providers under the UIF project. As you highlighted, that is around 79 million. Then there was the issue of the prepayment of the 30 million, which the auditors subsequently cleared, and which, however, they had still some issues to say that because of the delay in the finalization of the project, they foresee a potential material loss of that prepayment that was made to one of the service providers. And I have indicated as I was presenting on the audit outcome to say that this is a project that started in 2019 and the delays, and then in 2020 we got hit by the COVID, and the delays arose from 2020 to 2021, and then in 2022 we started to resume with the project. So the prepayment, as we have indicated in terms of what are the measures that we've put in place, I have, as I was presenting, indicated that the contract has since resumed, training had started, and we are also committing to ensure that any future appointments that are made, we will do proper due diligence to ensure that if the service providers were appointed through a process of a third party, we still have to do due diligence to ensure that the third party followed due process in the appointment process. So in terms of the training, as I indicated, we are closely monitoring that, and the service provider, in terms of the plan, that the revised plan that we have is that this training should be completed by year end, which is December this year. So as we speak now, that training has commenced, and we are also hopeful that this will be completed as per the timeline that we have with the service provider. And as I indicated, the bulk of the irregular expenditure arose from that. Otherwise, there were just a few smaller amounts that related to actual PSIRA issues that related to the BEC issues, and where we have highlighted that in terms of that, we will ensure that we add some additional controls for bid process compliance, and also where we are also engaging in process of deviations which are allowed. We will ensure that our deviations follows due process of deviations, and this, when they are audited, they are not found to be irregular expenditure. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thanks very much. Thanks, delegation from leadership of PSIRA and leadership of IPID. Can I check with you, PSIRA? Is it normal, just to educate me, is it normal that when a department gives you money, they also dictate who to appoint and how to appoint that person? Were you so desperate for that allocation that you allowed UIF to dictate for you? I just want to be educated in that regard. Now, secondly, I see in your annual report, the areas that you did not perform well mostly are areas that deal with the transformation. Is it difficult? What are the challenges in that regard? So that the committee is aware, and so on. And then with IPID, I think the problem of understaffing, I hear you, what you say, but the problem of understaffing is going to be with you for some time. And what my colleagues are saying, that your backlog might be with you for the next foreseeable future. How do you hope? I know you say you have submitted an expansion strategy. How do you hope to get investigators if you don't create your own pool? Don't you think it's time that you create your own pool so that you are able to tap from that pool when you need investigators? That's one. And two, the one member requested that submit what you think is ideal in terms of doing your work, in terms of carrying out your mandate. What you think is ideal, submit to the committee and see how the committee can assist in terms of an ideal situation. I know we may not achieve an ideal situation, but the committee is requesting from you to submit something that is ideal. Deputy Minister, I know that you and the Minister, when we had backlogs at the laboratories, you had to go there and sit in. You had to sit in there almost every day. And today, as they were reporting on Wednesday, and even reporting to the President when he opened officially the forensic laboratory science in Gqeberha, was saying we're done with the backlogs. Now, IPID is reporting to you as a ministry, they have backlogs. How do you assist them to make sure that they deal with the backlogs? Thanks very much. If I can get some feedback from there. I don't know who's starting here.
Eddie.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and GM, for those comments. Yes, Chair, I think you are coming up with an innovative way of us creating our own pool. But we will also look into our budget, whether does that allow us to do that, because it's important to do this. Investigation, it's a skill. Not any other person will do it. You need to be qualified to do investigation. So we'll just look into that, because if you look at our entry level for our investigation, it starts at level 7. Maybe through, as I'm thinking here, we might even consider looking at getting level 5, but that will be subject to discussion with the CFO, National Treasury, as well as HR, to see what is it that we can do to make sure that we get people at the very, very lower level. But also, Chairperson, with the changes that we are getting, or savings that we are getting, we're also trying to attract your retired detectives to assist, because they are experts in that regard. I must say, Chair and members, with the retired detectives that we are having on board, we are beginning to see some headway. So far, they have managed to deal with 22 cases. And for me, for 3 people, because to deal with such a number of cases within a short space of time says a lot, and it shows that they are really qualified to do that. And they have made sure that they've gone through the cases and make sure that they adhere to the quality of standards of investigation. And secondly, it's around the backlog. The backlog is a worrying factor, Chairperson, and we are trying our level best to make sure that we deal with it. And I see if no staffing is going to happen, we are still going to experience these challenges. But we'll have to sit down and give a presentation on what is an ideal number of investigators that you must have to deal with the backlog. We are prepared to submit that to the committee. We'll definitely deal with it. I think I will end there, Chairperson. The other question was for DM and Minister.
No, I think with regard to the comments by the chair, we take note of what he has said. We'll look into that. Thank you, Chair.
PSIRA. PSIRA.
My apologies, Chair. I was muted. CS will start, then I will follow, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Director, and thanks, Chairperson, for the question. Chairperson, let me start by saying that it is not normal that we allow another entity to dictate to us on who to appoint. And as I have indicated, Chair, the lapse here was that we were supposed to have done a due diligence on what UIF has followed in terms of the procurement process. And I think our lapse was on the fact that we had assumed that they had followed due process. And from our side, our due diligence was more on whether those people are registered with us as training service providers of security services, and they were in good standing with us. And we didn't look back and to say to UIF, can you give us an assurance on the process that you had followed for the appointment of these people that you want us to contract with? So, yes, Chair, that was the lapse, and hence we are saying that going forward, any third-party contracting that needs to be done by PSIRA, we will ensure that we do due diligence in terms of the process that the third party followed, in terms of the procurement of the services that they might want us to contract on. And that is the area that we want to improve, and that is the area that will ensure that we also become strict on it. It's not that UIF dictated to us, it's just that we had assumed that they had followed due process, and we basically focused more on our own due diligence in terms of ensuring that those people are registered and they can offer the best training that is required under the Private Security Industry Regulation Act. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chairperson. On the last question on transformation, Chair, I must just be perhaps sketch a little bit of a background here. We have done the transformation analysis for the entire sector, and we came up with some findings which we then sought to elevate to the level of a transformation charter. That journey has been a very challenging one, Chair, precisely because the skills and expertise of putting together that whole process of drafting a charter is not something that is available everywhere. I think we've gone out twice, if not 3 times, on tender, trying to get to that point. However, there are some of the issues that we've identified during our investigation on the transformation issues that we started already implementing over the time. And we are very hopeful, but that by the end of 2025, as we set the medium-term strategic planning period, we shall have achieved this very same target that we are seeking to achieve. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I think we're moving towards the end of our meeting. Honorable members, do you still have some questions to pose? Honorable Derplanche.
Chairperson, thank you, Chairperson. Just for PSIRA again, they haven't answered my one question properly, in the sense that I also asked how many of the people prosecuted and convicted was for firearm related offenses, and I missed that part, so would like if they can maybe do it. And then just one for Chairperson, where's my other question now? Chairperson, I want to ask IPID, and they did touch on the visiting of police detention cells, etc. But I just want to know whether, if they go there, whether they it also forms part as the South Africa's national prevention mechanism under the optional protocol to the Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhumane or degrading treatment or punishment, the so-called OPCAT. I just want to know to what extent do they also include that. Thank you, Chairperson. Now I'm really done. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Terplanche. Any other member? Honorable Marekwa.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, and greetings to the DM and all participants on the platform from different sectors or entities, and honorable members. Thank you, Chair. Mine is not a question, but just a comment. Having followed the discussions on the reports presented by the 2 entities, mine is just to say that I believe it was said before, but just to say that we appreciate the reports, the good reports that have been that are presented by both entities. But our weakness sometimes, or departments or entities, the weakness sometimes when we are praised and told that, or we realize unqualified reports and having achieved certain targets and things that we were supposed to do, we more kind of celebrate forever and not taking note of the recommendations that could have come also from the AG's report and other reports to say that this 1, 2, 3 needs attention. So I think as we appreciate and celebrate the unqualified reports with findings or without findings, it is critical that both entities, particularly also PSIRA, to go back and check, making sure that those findings are dealt with and are responded to, so that in the next coming reports, it is better and more improvement in the work that they are doing. We appreciate what they are doing, trying to find workable ways to make things work within their entities. But it is not good to celebrate forever. Celebrate, appreciate, be happy, but work
work hard and make sure that you keep that that achievement even with better improvement. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Marekwa. Can we address the question raised by Honorable Blanche?
Thank you, Chairperson from PSIRA side first. Chairperson, the convictions on the firearms, Chair, we request that we provide those details later. We'd like to check first from a detail whether we have any stats from the criminal side of things, of the prosecutions. However, on the code of conduct, yes, we will be able to provide those details later in writing. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. What are your timelines?
Chair, if we can be just given over this weekend, we should be able to provide those details by Monday.
Okay. Can it be recorded there, Babalo, that at least by our next meeting, which is next week, Wednesday, we shall have received same. ED, are you promising same?
Yes, yes, we will definitely do that as well. Yeah.
All right.
Chair, can I also answer Member Blanche's question around the OPCAT and the MPM?
Yes.
Your permission? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Let me indicate to Member Blanche that the inspection tool that we are currently using to monitor police cells was developed jointly with NPM as well as OPCAT members. We even did some cell inspections with OPCAT members in Johannesburg Central as well as Hillbrow. I think it was early around April. So the cell has been jointly developed with them. Thank you.
Okay, your last words, ED.
Thanks, Chairperson. I must indicate, Chairperson, that the concerns that were raised by members, we will certainly strive to deal with them. We'll make sure that we put all hands on deck. We will make sure that Program 2 is achieving its target. We will make sure that our investigation is of quality, and we will also come up with innovative ways. But we also appreciate what has been shared with us, and we will make sure that we implement some of the recommendations that were made by members. But I must also note, I must also indicate to this committee that we also report to the audit committee about our performance. So we are also being monitored by another committee to make sure that we are optimally functioning and performing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ED. Your last words, Chairperson. Mamufumme.
Thank you, Chair. From my side is also just to say thank you for the opportunity, and we have taken note of all the comments, especially we note the comment to say we shouldn't, get excited and celebrate, probably become complacent in the process. We take note of the comments, and thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Doctor. DM,
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members, for the interaction. As always say, it's a pleasure to be here before you. We know so you ask us difficult questions sometimes, and but yeah, it's part of the process of making us account. We appreciate this, and once more, we would like to thank you and thank the board of PSIRA for the good work that they are continuing to do together with management, and the achievement by IPID is highly appreciated. But it is all through because of you, Chairperson, and the committee members who keep us on course. Thanks very much for the opportunity to interface with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, DM. Any feedback with regard to the submissions? Remember at the beginning of the meeting, you said you are checking. Is there any feedback?
Yeah, I think the difficulty is that they are in the function entirely. So it was not easy, but I've asked my office to communicate with the Commissioner's office that they must prepare that submission
if possible, before the end of business today. Thanks, Chair. All right. Can we say, for record purposes, that at least by next Wednesday, time of our next meeting, we shall have this.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks very much. Let me thank you, DM. I know there is a function you were supposed to attend, but you prioritized this meeting. Thanks very much for attending to the meeting. Thanks very much, ED. I know you were also invited to that function, but you attend the meeting. Thanks very much to you and your team. Thanks very much, Dr. Mufumme, for leading the delegation from PSIRA. I know it's Friday, you have other commitments together with your deputy chairperson, but you prioritized this meeting because you wanted to hear what committee members are saying so that you are able to make follow-ups at your organization to make sure that those things are happening. Thanks very much, honorable members, for your time. It's rare that we have meetings on Fridays, but we had no choice but to make sure that we deal with this work because we must submit our report. By next week, we must deal with our report, adopt it, and submit it to the National Assembly for further processing. Thanks very much to our support staff, both from Parliament and the Ministry. Like I say, it's always not easy to have meetings on Fridays, but at least our meeting was budgeted up to 14 hours. And here we are. We've been businesslike and we are done. Members are satisfied. All their questions are answered. Those that have not been answered, we are promised that they will be answered in writing on or before next Wednesday. Enjoy. Let me wish you the best as you enjoy your weekend and the rest of this Friday. Have a fruitful day and moving forward a fruitful weekend. The meeting stand adjourned. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Very much, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.